I will show you how to change the steering wheel.
Welcome to another video on the channel. In today's video we're going to be doing a steering wheel installation in preparation for the Porsche 997. Now the reason why I'm calling today's video a free series is because I managed to find this one for approximately 350 euros, which, as some of you may know, for this style of GT3 steering wheel is an absolute steal, and that's why I'm calling it a free series, because in principle what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell the old one that I have pictured here, and I'm going to basically have probably a few €100 still left in the bank. So I can't say how happy I am enough, because I've been looking for this exact steering wheel for the past 2-3 years since I've owned the 997. So I'm very happy to have found it, because I'm absolutely never going to pay 1,400 euros for a steering wheel, especially one for the 997, considering that for that amount of money you could have a E36. Probably, yeah, I mean, it's still more expensive than the E36 that I recently got, which you can see on the channel by clicking on the top right corner. Now, the case with this particular steering wheel is that it has a little ding. Now, if I will remove the airbag for a moment so that I can show you what I mean by that, there's this little small ding. So we're going to correct that. I bought some basic acrylic touch-up paint in silver, so we have 2 tones of silver, so basically we're going to see which one matches better so that we have that near brand new finish. I tried looking online how much one of these silver trim pieces would be, and they're approximately $150 or $140. So I figured, okay, maybe it doesn't make a lot of sense. But other than that, the steering wheel is, in my perspective, in really fine and good condition. I mean, there aren't any, let's call it, other issues other than this little ding. There was also a little bit of leather missing or rubbed off on this spot. I painted it already last night. And then we have the steering wheel airbag itself, which is, in my eyes, in absolutely perfect condition. So if you're not interested in the paint correction part, feel free to skip ahead. Otherwise, we can get right to it. The surface here has been cleaned with isopropyl alcohol to remove any debris and unwanted particles prior to painting it. And then what I would recommend doing is taking an old CD like this one I have and using the reflective surface to apply a little bit of paint, because these paint correction tubes themselves, they have those little small brushes. I guess I can try to remove it. But it's not going to be exactly precise when it comes in terms of application itself towards the steering wheel. So I do have some small hobby detail brushes that you can use. You can pick those up for a few dollars. I think it's always better to use one of those as opposed to the one included. As always, shake her up a bit. And we can already see that one of the paint samples is in fact darker. And so what I want to do is take a little bit of the dark one for the base itself, just to start it off. Alright, so our steering wheel has been dried. We can apply some of the lighter silver. Alright, so we are complete. Now, the application is, of course, not perfect, which is perfectly fine. Otherwise, of course, you can, if you wish, remove the 3 silver pieces and then basically send them to a professional painter to have them resprayed in galvany silver, if not mistaken, that's the name of the color. So now we can teleport to the next location. We are now in the garage. And here is the old steering wheel that we're going to remove. It has the multifunction, which I am personally not a big fan of, and hence why we're going to upgrade it to the GT3 or sports steering wheel that is there for the 997. So let's get started. Basically what you need to have is a screwdriver, a flathead in this case, and it's important that you enter the screwdriver that way as opposed to that way, because there is a metal bracket in the steering wheel that we will show right now how to pop. Okie dokie. So here we have the airbag itself. We had a bit of a setback because actually, as opposed to the guys that I've seen online, the connectors are located not on the airbag. I mean, here we have on the rear some connectors, but the point is you shouldn't be disconnecting them, but rather this connector that you see here in the center of the screen to get that one out. But the problem or the challenge with my particular steering wheel is that it has the multifunction buttons on both the left insert here and on the right here. And that then means basically that it's not as easy to detach this cable. I mean, you could take them off the airbag, but I'd rather not if possible. So what I'm going to do rather than that is simply remove the steering wheel bolt itself in the center without removing the actual airbag itself, because I'll just simply set it back. And I will use my patented Y flipper here to ensure basically that the airbag doesn't hit the gauge cluster. So now we can go on to the removal of the bolt itself. So what you will need is this 12-pointed bolt here, or at least in Proxen land, it's called a VZ12. So it's basically this one or a Torx. I believe it's a 55, but I prefer to have the actual tool that you need to have. So this is the 12 point. So you want to kind of press your legs against the steering wheel. There we go. And there we have it, the wonderful bolt. So at this stage we can actually put the airbag back. And we should have, there we go. Airbag removed. So let's put the steering wheel as best centered as we can for the time being. And now in theory we can reconnect the airbag itself to the central connector using this harness here. And so that's a simple procedure as such. Now you're asking yourself, why have I not redone the bolt itself? And I'll explain to you in a second. What we will do is kind of controversial in the sense that we will not reconnect basically the steering wheel as well as the airbag until we are 100% certain that we are using the right notch. Now the only way to do that, of course, if you want to be certain that that is the case, is by driving the car. So we have a garage here, so that's going to be perfectly fine. So we just want to make sure 100% that as we're driving straight, we're actually driving straight. So now what I'm going to do is reconnect the battery. Dear partner, would be great if you could move to the right part of the car in case it goes boom.
So?
No, it's not possible, but... So it didn't explode.
Right.
Okay, let's see if we are going straight. I don't think so. So I think we need to make a small adjustment. I can't adjust it now. Alrighty, so we have finally, after many adjustments, made the steering wheel to go straight, or I mean, we set it to the position which it goes straight. And in hindsight, I have to say I did a big mistake in the beginning because the car had its wheels parked slightly at an angle, meaning the steering wheel was not in fact set straight. And therefore I had to go through this adjustment stuff. So it's not difficult in any case. It's simply time consuming because every time, in every interval, you do have to basically readjust and wait then for the 10 minutes to replug back the airbag. So in general, that's a learning. The notch that I made didn't help out in that specific case because still the steering wheel, you had to remember where it is. But okay, that's life, you learn, and that's the whole point of it. Good, so now we need to apply some thread lock for the screw, blue thread lock, and make sure to clean the screw as much as possible. I mean, you don't have to do it like this. I just want to make sure it's all nice and covered so it doesn't splosh all over my new steering wheel. So I'm not applying any new, I'm just spreading basically the existing thread lock there, making sure there's a bit everywhere. And of course you want to make sure not to use the strongest one because that would be a problem. So thread lock applied. Let me just make sure I'm happy with that application. Fair enough. And at this stage you want to hand tighten it or hand screw it in, to be honest. You could put more thread lock if you intend to keep the steering wheel, but knowing myself, maybe in 2 years time I will want to have some new leather or something like that, right honey? Okay, so this is as much as I can do it by hand, which is fine. And so now what we need to do is use our torque wrench, and the torque values for this are approximately 37 foot-pounds or 50 Newton meters of torque. So let's apply the torque wrench. Let's see, could we do it without the adapter maybe? I mean, not the adapter, but the extension. Let's see. And our torque is set at 50, which is the right one. Ah, perfect. And again, here you want to use your legs. There we go. Let's make sure. Perfect. It should be smooth sailing from now on. All we should have to do is to put the steering wheel airbag back on. Make sure that the cable hides nicely in its little well with your fingers. You want to guide them in there so they're not snagged in between anything. Maybe one small note. Can you see those springs? Those little two ones? If you compress them, they basically release the airbag as such. Good. So now for the moment of truth. Once again, guide it in. Good. And now, and we just verified that the horn works. Perfect. Okay, so first feedback towards the steering wheel. Was it worth it? Absolutely yes. You can definitely feel the more contoured thumb grips that you have here, because on the previous one it was basically slim or all the same diameter throughout, and here it's clearly made for the thumbs, so the 3 and 9 position or the 9 and 3 position feels far more pronounced. I'm also a big fan of the fact that here I don't have any multi-function buttons that are basically nonsense at this stage, because most of those buttons on a 997 are related to this wonderful phone over here, which obviously you're not going to be using, and the navigation. And there's only, I think, one volume button or something along those lines. So from my side, absolutely worth it. So if you can get a steering wheel like this for reasonable money, absolutely worth it. Thank you very much for watching. Hit subscribe. Take care.